right. So the first question is coming from Alan in Colorado. It's about QSR deals. He said, I've been hunting, get it, for Easter? Just kidding. I've been hunting for sites not only in Colorado, but nationwide. My subscription to QSR Magazine keeps me updated on the new store plans for national chains. There are literally many thousands of new stores awaiting for sites. Now I have brokers contacting me because they can't find redevelopment sites for their clients. Has the redevelopment model run out of inventory?
Okay, so for those who don't know what QSR is, it's quick service restaurants. This question is regarding the single tenant retail buildings, the standalone buildings, where we find a building that's empty, put it under contract at a good price based on comparable rents, etc., and then contact these national tenants to invite them to take a look at the location and the building. The good news is they continue to grow, and they grow very aggressively, actually. And the bad news is it seems like these guys that are selling these quick service restaurants that are vacant, these standalone buildings that are vacant, are still in la la land because they're asking some crazy numbers. I mean, it's just getting crazier than I've ever seen. You would think with the higher interest rate, they will get the message that they need to sell them at a lower price. But I think this is gonna start happening summer this year. That's what I'm anticipating, because it's just so out of whack. They're trying to sell these vacant buildings as if they were already occupied. So the best strategy is to just actually make the offer that makes sense and tell them, hey, if you're ready, we're interested, call me back. Sooner or later, they're gonna come to the reality that, oh, maybe I need to tell the owner of the building that we need to lower the asking price.
All right, next part of his question. It's been a year of steady prospecting and yet extremely difficult to find any third generation QSRs for redevelopment. The two that I found are north of $4 million. I am finding very old QSR properties. Are any of the national tenants you communicate with willing to reconsider first and second generation QSRs? If so, are there special instructions you have for these?
Yes, many of them prefer existing locations because it's a faster turnaround for them. They know they can come in, they can assess, they get the permits, and they do the work that they need to do. The last couple of these we did, they just came in, got the permit, and did some work. There were some issues with electricity. I wanted to upgrade the electrical and all this, so it got delayed. But once they like the location, they send the LOI, letter of intent, and we sign the deal and we close. It's on them. That's the beauty about these guys. I don't have to do anything. The key thing is there may be more opportunities in developments from the ground up. So to your point, Alan, if it's difficult to get them interested in third generation QSR, third generation mean it was built for first generation occupant, which is, let's say, Jack in the Box. Then Jack in the Box, after 10 years, they leave. And then it becomes a McDonald's, let's say. Usually McDonald's like newer buildings, but let's say it becomes a McDonald's because if it's a good location, McDonald's will do anything to get it. And then 10 years later, they leave. Now it's a third generation. Now that building will need a lot of retrofitting. So usually if the deal is being done, like when I do one of these deals, it costs a lot of TI, tenant improvement. But recently, they say, well, can we demolish the building and then we talk about who's going to build it out? So if they prefer to build from the ground up so they can get a brand new building, we can always talk to them. Just get them interested. And as you know, we'll get on a conference call if you're part of the JV and you are, the joint venture program, and I will actually work with them. Sometimes we have to do the build out. Sometimes they want us to give them some credit and they do the build out. Sometimes we can do a lend lease. There are just so many ways to do it with them when they do the ground up build out. So don't despair. It's really a numbers game, because it's not a qualification game even, because you have the list of tenants that we give you. You just have to smile and dial. And quite often we smile and dial, and then they call us through a broker that represents them. We will pay the broker because there is enough upside. And believe it or not, when they have a broker representing them, that broker goes on our side because the only way he or she will get paid. So I've never found it to be a problem. As a matter of fact, the issue I told you with one of the buildings where there was electric, they have to upgrade the electricity. When they started communicating with my office, where the company started communicating with my office, I just called the broker. I said, can you help out with this situation? Because they're getting upset at us and this is on them. They should read the lease. They never called us again. They're handling it. There was any follow-ups on that?
One more follow-up on the QSR side. Alan said, what is our most recent rent comp multiplier, 16x annual rent or 20?
It's 16 times.
Yep.
It's actually maybe 15 times. So it doesn't go up as high as it used to. The rent multiplier, meaning, let's say they pay $100,000 a year triple net. So the tenant is paying, if you take 100,000 divided by 12, is 83.33 a month. They pay that plus triple net, meaning net of property taxes, property insurance, and they do the property maintenance. So let's say property tax and insurance end up being about $1,000 a month. So they're going to pay the 83.33 plus the 1,000 for the triple net. So you'll be receiving 93.33, and you'll pay the property tax and property insurance. And so if you go on loopnet.com and you can look at all these, you'll find out they're selling at 16 times the rent, meaning that 100,000 a year, which is the base rent, times 16, the property is selling at 1.6 million. Why? Because it's a flight to safety. If anybody has cash, their cash is better off being in a property producing a 5.5%, 6% cash flow. And they're not so difficult to sell. These are actually much easier to sell, because a lot of people, as they get older and they have properties that were requiring a lot of management, like a 4-plex or a 5-unit building, they sell them and do a 1031 exchange to defer their taxes. So they have 45 days to identify up to 3 properties and an additional 135 days to close, because the 1031 exchange gives you 6 months to roll the money forward. So when you're selling, you ask telling title company and escrow, I don't want to cash out. I need an accommodator. An accommodator is a third-party company that holds the money. That's your profit based on your cost basis and the loan you have. And now you have to roll it over into another property. And they love to roll them over into these triple net buildings. So when we get the vacant building and we line up a tenant to come in and we close and get the tenant signing up for a long-term lease, very easy to sell. And they sell at 16 times the rent, the base rent. So yeah, no problem. Just look on LoopNet. Even in Kansas, they sell at that.
Very good.
And one more point. The reason, even in Kansas, I say they sell there, not to take a cheap shot at Kansas. I'm meaning that somebody sitting in Seattle would not buy maybe a single family residential in Kansas City where he can have better cash flow, but he would buy a triple net because there's nothing to manage. There's nothing to manage in these. I'd like to manage it. Like, there's nothing for me to do. I have coach, I've had them for 16 years. There's nothing for me to go do inside. If I go inside, it's just to say hello to people or something. And I don't need that hello anyway.